Okay. Good evening, everybody. So if you've been following the Twitter, you'll know that Twitch deciding it wants to make some noise. That was bizarre. Okay, let me get my setup back again here. Okay. So we're going to start out with some Banished tonight. I have not played this in a long time, so we're gonna see if I can actually remember how this game works, first of all. It's probably a good idea. It's a game I enjoy a lot if you're into the RTS genre, particularly the sort of village builder or city builder style, then I would highly recommend this as a game. It is definitely a lot of fun. So, first things first, we need to make sure that we can get some food. Gatherer's huts. What's the button for making it rotate? Ah, predictably. Okay, it's still a bit loud. Let's just turn some of these volumes down a little bit. And we're probably going to need people to live in some houses. I've heard they like houses sometimes. Where's the jobs button? This one. Speed up time. Any of you planning on... Oh, no, it's alright. I know what the problem is here. I think. Yeah, we need to actually place a stockpile first. In case you weren't sure whether or not I actually remember how to play this game, no, I do not. There we go. And now they're actually going to start building some things, finally. So, gatherers. We definitely need gatherers. And a storage barn will eventually be useful as well. But, you know, like food and stuff. Firewood. Oops. It's still really loud, actually. I'm too used to games that use Q and E to rotate all of the buildings now, so it's having to get used to all the new controls again. Okay. I'm still doing it. Oh, that one. Okay. So now at least we should be able to start filling up the storage barn with like actual food. And make a woodcutter. No, that's not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. And just make sure that everyone's got plenty of space to, you know, have like families and stuff. And plenty of space for children to move into houses as they grow up and bolster our workforce. Probably the next thing we're going to need to look at is the Forester's Lodge here, just to make sure that we keep an adequate supply of logs. And now we've actually got storage facilities, we can get rid of that initial cart as well. And get back to actually putting some sort of a city together. Okay, and we actually now also have a supply of wood stored away. Okay, the map is less useful. I thought there was a button that let you see what, like, seeds and things you had, but possibly not. Could really do with some of these children finally growing up, though. That would be ideal. Hey, there we go. It's the first one. What was it we wanted? A blacksmith. This just so that we can actually supply everybody with some extra tools and make sure that we actually make some progress. Foresters. Okay. So this way at least we should have a steady supply of logs coming in, which is going to help us a lot. Still got 4 children waiting to grow up with 1, 2, 3, 4 jobs available, and then we'll have an extra one for labour and building, which is a reasonably good place to be in. And then after this we can look at getting a more reliable food supply. It's also worth working out where there's a decent body of water to try and connect trade to. So it looks like it's this river here. So we kind of need to escape this valley. Yeah, so this is the problem eventually. You start getting this whole low food business. See if we can actually get hold of some kind of seeds to work with here. Still getting more children being born, which is also good. Oh, okay, and we're out of iron. That's the problem there. Only there was some nearby iron that we could just harvest. Okay. So... no seeds then. No. I guess we need to get a hunting cabin then. And quite possibly also a fishing dock. Fishing dock's going to be a bit more awkward though. Hopefully this regrowing forest is actually going to help keep some of these sort of deer herds and the like in the area though. We are struggling a little bit on the old food. Which could be problematic for us. Let's max out gatherers. Yep. So the answer is no, I really can't remember how to play this game. It's one of the gatherers. Probably shouldn't jump straight back in on hard when I don't know what I'm doing. That was probably foolish. Come on, finish this off. And then we can get some more people on food production for a bit. Which should at least help. If we can actually get that food production counter going upwards, then we should be okay again. I mean, it would be ideal if any of these children would actually grow up. We might be starting a new game very, very soon. Yeah. Yeah, that was... Yeah, you only get a choice between valleys and mountains. Okay. Let's see if I can actually get this to work a little bit better this time. Now I've at least remembered what the controls are. And, you know, how to get people to start building things. Okay, this is nice. We've got, like, space for fishing nearby as well. So I think, actually, let's try some early fishing here, for one thing. So stockpile maxes out at 10 by 10. And a storage barn up there. Oh yeah, need to actually tell them to harvest things. It's a good idea. Rearrange my display and assign a couple of them to be builders. Probably also do still want... Oh, that's not a thing I meant to click on, actually. I should also, while I think about it, update the channel information. Is a good idea. totally didn't just forget that for the first 20 minutes of the stream. Okay. Get some people fishing early. We should be okay as long as we can get some of these houses done by sort of autumn to winter time. Yeah, the reserve of food should be getting better again now we've got some fish coming in. There we go. Food is moving in the correct direction. Is there something specific it can't go through there, or...? We are definitely going to need a woodcutter as well before winter. Ow! We should have been actually getting food already. Okay. Well, fishermen are not good early on. That's what we've learned here. If you play on lower difficulties, you actually start with more seeds and things, and you can actually start by just building farms. It's once you get up to starting hard or higher, you suddenly find that that doesn't work anymore. Okay. No. Stockpile. I forgot the stockpile. Okay. Do you want to actually finish the stockpile, please? I think there's a... yeah. Priority work button. Okay. I don't care about those resources so much at the moment. Okay. Max out the gatherers early. And hope that's enough to actually increase food supplies for a little bit. Okay, this is seeming more positive. So far, anyway. See, this looks like a great place to build a fishing dock, but... we kind of need to get a bridge over there first. We'll let our one labourer put all of the resources on the building and then turn them into a builder. And then turn them into a hunter. In fact, we'll need to turn them back first, probably, and think about having a woodcutter in place. Okay, everyone else is gonna be generous and deal with that for us. You have a lot of children suddenly. Which is not inherently bad, but we're going to need some of them to grow up so that we can get food. It's actually also possible that in that early game, it was just when we got to winter, there weren't any things for the gatherers to gather. But at least for now, we're actually getting food. Nobody's freezing to death or anything. I've managed to misplace all the buildings, so my planning is slightly off. Which is just going to be annoying, but... Child, 5, 6, 7... I'm not sure what age they actually become adults in this game. I know in the Cultures, or at least in the Cultures 2 era games, that it's always 10. Oh, come on. How are we out of food again already? Or is this... Ah, because it's winter. Let's convert everyone into hunters. And try and max out on hunters instead and just get through winter. Because presumably, if I'm correct in my belief about the whole winter some things aren't available business, then now we're back in spring, we should start finding that the gatherers are more effective again. Yeah, okay. And we're getting food again. So that's definitely worth being aware of. The woodcutter is not necessary right now. Child 9, child 9. So we've got a couple of children who should be growing up soon. Well, maybe growing up soon. We'll see how that actually works out. But for now, at least, we're getting somewhere. Join the gatherers. And try and have like a variety of different foods. Just keep people happy and generally engaged. Okay, we are at least going the right general direction at this point. Wow, and then suddenly the food takes a real dip, which means I'm assuming people have just stocked up all of their houses for winter. Which is fine. I mean, it's what the food is there for. We just need to be a little bit careful with how much food we actually have available. The reserve of food isn't that low. The fishing key is still actually working even in winter. These big old crates of fish showing up all over the place. I mean, it's certainly reduced output, but it is producing, so I'm going to take that as a win. We're probably going to need to look at building some more houses soon for more families to be around. Guess I managed to put it in the wrong place again. Okay. That should be enough housing to at least keep people going for a little bit. And hopefully also give them some space for the children to move out and start families of their own, so we can expand operations as we go through this. A couple of children at 7, 3 children at 7. So all 3 of these children should grow up at about the same time at this point. Yeah, so you can see that they actually start moving out in couples as long as there's space for them to have a family home. It's gonna take a hit while we fill up all the new houses, at least. But it's still only late spring, so we do at least have some time now to resupply and build up stocks again. No need for more families? No, actually. But there's space there now, so as we get more families, it's going to be okay. Okay. We're starting to have an issue with tools, so that's the next thing we're going to need to build. I mean, playing games like this often does put me in mind of Stronghold, though. And listening to the narrator of that yell things like, "Stone stocks are too low, sire." My water appears to have gone missing. Reserve of food is not presently great. Let's turn you back into a gatherer for a bit, just to help boost the food economy. Yeah, you can also be a gatherer. Everybody gather. Although I guess some of the issue here is actually that we're now filling up more of these houses, so they're all taking food to fill up all of their houses. But yeah, there you go. So we're actually building up a supply of food again. Slowly but surely, sort of just working back up. Reserve of firewood is low. That's a relatively important thing to sort out. Just to stop people freezing to death over winter. And the problem you see here is actually the loss of productivity that happens if people don't have quality tools. There's a lot of intricacy in this game that you don't always get, which is nice, but does make it a difficult one. But hopefully at least once we get this blacksmith operational, we can start replacing all of our people's tools. Yeah, we've still got enough firewood for the moment though, so that's not too bad. And in fact, even over winter at this point, our food stocks are, albeit slowly, increasing. And that's in winter with no tools, so I think we're probably doing okay for right now. Let's make you a blacksmith. So hopefully the first tool the blacksmith makes is for the blacksmith, and then we can churn out tools faster. But we'll see. See how that works out. The reserve of firewood may be low, but we don't actually need firewood so much now. It's really only a winter thing. And our food stocks are dropping again as we have a sudden spate of births. But again, we should start resolving this as people like the fishermen and the gatherers and the hunters all have better tools again. Okay. No, this one. We are definitely going to need to get a forester's lodge up soon, though, just to stop having to deforest progressively larger sections of the countryside. Set the children going out to watch people cut down trees. Because, you know, what could be safer? We definitely want to keep an eye on food supplies at the moment as well, though. As we start heading further through the year and back towards winter again, we're going to want to try and make sure that we've got some sort of buffer in place again. So while we do have some amount of spare tools, it's probably worth turning that blacksmith back into a gatherer for a little while just to... excellent. We've also reached our cap of firewood again. Let's just have a quick... No. Just because occasionally it will actually start you with something. But no, it looks like we really do have to trade for anything we want of that nature. Which we can do, but... start work on a trading post early just to make sure that we can get something going there. So it's one of the things that you tend to find in this game is that once you get to the point where you have like herds or crops or something, you do generate food a lot more easily than having to rely on, you know, sort of gatherers and hunters. At some point we should also probably build a storage barn, thinking about it. So this is looking like it could turn into a slightly rough winter. But hopefully that's just a case of people have largely stocked up on food for their houses already, and other than that we're okay. So... when we start getting children grow up and turn into labourers again, we can at least then start looking to use this trading post and get some actual crops going. Okay. Let's get a woodcutter working again. We are struggling a little bit on food right now, especially since it's still only early in winter, which could be a concern going on. But we will see how this works out. Okay, somebody was just hoarding, apparently. Okay. So it looks like we may have actually dodged the worst of that one by more luck than skill. But this is precisely why I want to start trying to get, you know, like sort of the more growable, more reliable, that's the word, the more reliable crops in. I would say that the reserve of iron is 0, in fact. And we definitely do need more stone right now. And as many people as possible on food acquisition. Food is probably the most important thing for us to try and stock up on at the moment. We might have tried to expand a bit too fast with all of these houses to actually support the... or for our food production, to actually support the growth that we allowed for. And the fact it's not complaining at low food supplies is good, because it does at least suggest that the reason we've got no food in storage is because it's all in houses being stored, but they're not hungry. I still can't press the correct buttons. But we can try and set up a bit more food production somewhere else, just so it's spread around and we're not just over harvesting one area. Because that can be a problem as well in this game. Is there a realign view to the north button somewhere? Yeah, we can still handle the reserve of logs being low. Harvest all of the stone. At the moment, neither of these can actually work because there's no wood. And now we're starting to run short on food. Which is not good. We've got more people working as labourers now, so we might actually be able to get these extra food production buildings running before anybody starts to starve. Nope. It didn't actually give us any food warnings, though, which is interesting. Is there a don't work on this button? Because that would be ideal. No, there's just an increased priority. That's fine, you were only a builder anyway. So yeah, a big part of the problem here was too many houses too early, which meant that people overpopulated and the food production couldn't support it. Which is always going to be an issue in that kind of situation. But, hopefully, we should be able to start producing more food again now. And that will solve the problem. How did you starve while there was still food? So yeah, lessons to learn in this game. Don't try and grow too quickly, because you can't support the population. And supporting the population is important. We still might just be able to squeeze through this one. But there's going to be a lot of dying first. Okay. Looks like we also need to re-enable the woodcutter. Oh, we almost had 100 food again then. Yeah. I think the really important lesson here is that I definitely need more practice at this game to be playing it on hard again. We almost had some consistent food then. That was amazing. Oops. I keep doing that. Accidentally, like, building structures instead of tagging trees to cut. Hunter is probably the best profession over winter. I don't know if spoilage is a thing actually on food. Okay, so it doesn't look like spoilage is a thing at least. I don't want to jinx it, but nobody's actually starved in a little while. So while we may not be stockpiling any food, it's possible we might be starting to break even at last. And with a few children getting ready to grow up again, once we fill out these extra 2 buildings, we might actually be in a position to be stockpiling again, which would be good. I mean, I guess to some extent, 12 is more of a stockpile than we had before, so... I'm also going to look at putting in a forester's lodge, because that time is definitely coming where we need it. But the priority for all labourers at the moment is producing more food. That's the one thing we do desperately need. Yeah, we can deal with a low reserve of stone, as long as there's enough stone to build this. Which there is not. Oof, food reserves are getting dangerously high. Okay, and that explains why we didn't get the warnings for a while, because it will only warn you the first time you drop below 200. So we need a few more logs on the forester's hut and we can start actually building it. But for the time being, everybody work on gathering. Stockpile all of that food. mean, some people have really gone overboard with their in-house stockpiles. But, you know. Still got 4 more slots of people to do food production. Although going into winter with, 400 or so food in storage is pretty good for where we have been. Anyway, if we can get the gatherers filled up and this forester lodge running, we should at least be able to produce food and firewood to keep people alive throughout winter. Which will be a good start. As it is, we have at least got through to midwinter again without totally running out of food. In fact, we're almost still saving food. Yeah, and we are stockpiling some logs and some firewood, so you probably shouldn't be cold. Child 6, child 6, child 5, child 8, child 8 and 0, 7 and 2. Okay, now we've got through winter, I want to actually try and stockpile as much food as we can for the next winter. And actually get on top of it a little bit this time. I don't really want to take anybody off food production to do building, though. We should hopefully get another adult soon, and we can use them to build the Forester Lodge and start staffing it. Or, if we've actually run out of wood anyway, I'm still not entirely sure which order it decides to staff buildings. It doesn't seem to make any degree of logical sense. Actually, yeah, let's actually get the building done, and then we can work on everything else afterwards. Yeah, we're still not going to be stockpiling any food this year. But you should at least be keeping people alive, which is good. And Forester. So now we're actually in a position where we should be generating wood and food. Let's actually turn one of these back into a woodcutter, because we are going to need the firewood again. The extra labourer there can fill in that gap nicely. Okay. So now it's mostly just a waiting game. Where we fill up stores of firewood again and try and actually get to a point where we can stockpile some food. I mean, we do occasionally get like a sudden spike of food in storage, but then we end up losing it all. We are going to need to turn somebody into a blacksmith again soon, and then maybe some traders. Once we have traders, we can at least start, as I say, trying to get crops. Right, it's getting dark in here, so I should go turn on a light. And I will be back in a second. Okay. Hopefully nothing caught fire and burned down while I was gone. Okay. We did at least make it through another winter. And assuming we get no more children, it looks like we're currently going to be one worker short of filling every building when all of these grow up. But it could be worse. We almost started producing firewood then. Unfortunately, it's going to take a little while to grow these trees. So in the meantime, we are probably going to have to chop some down manually. But the hope is at least that this will also provide more area for wild game and for the sort of fruit and herb baskets that the gatherers collect. So we will see, I suppose. Okay. Does this merchant have anything we care about? No. Good. So we're not missing anything just yet. Because right now I would trade almost anything to any merchant to try and get some just something that we can plant in a field or in an orchard and get some actual crops growing with. Okay, so 7 children means that we now have enough to exactly staff everything, although we are going to start needing more production facilities soon, because we're going to need to have like clothes and things. But oh dear, we've got somebody who's short on food again, which is not a great place to be. I'm not sure why they aren't picking up any food though. That seems a little bit suspicious. Unless it's just everybody else gets there first, of course, but it does seem like there should be some spare for them. They do genuinely not have any food in that house, though. I mean, they're delivering it. Why aren't you picking any up? Ugh. Is it bad of me to say that he probably deserved that? Let's turn a forester into a hunter. Oh. And then a child grew up as well. So for the time being, we are short on logs. But we can probably deal with that. I thought that was a Nand then. I was going to say, apparently we have chess players being born now. Right, let's get somebody ready at a trading post. Just in case we want to sort of immediately pounce on something. It doesn't look like there's any trading boats coming from that direction. Where does this river go? Oh, it actually joins onto that lake. Cool. Really would like another trader to show up, but with something we actually want. I'm assuming you can't just, like, randomly tame livestock or anything. Okay. So yeah, you do have to use a trader to... So you have to use a trader to get animals in the first place. You can't just accidentally find some animals. You were almost stockpiling food again then. That would have been a result. You can see where these trees are starting to actually grow though and develop into proper trees. I quite like the fact we're back at a point where it needs to warn us that the reserve of food is low. It's honestly quite a positive thing. At some point it's probably going to be worth putting another storage barn in over here just to help out with that. The river goes a long way. Okay. So we have food again. We at least almost have some firewood. Let's manually chop down some more trees while we wait for the foresters to start working. These do start up a lot faster if you have them in an area where they have access to trees already, but, you know. Yeah, I know, we've only got 400 food again. Which very quickly disappears. You shouldn't be cold, it's spring, it's like hot. What can we actually store? Leather? Okay. I always forget how the trading system works in this. It's a bit complicated. So what you have to do is store things at the trading post to start with. Oh, this isn't an actual check-in, is it? This is going to be just the food, which is less exciting. Darn it. Because quite honestly, we should be able to handle food for the time being. We just need to get something that's going to let us get more food. Yeah. So that I don't waste all of the stuff that we have there. That's fine, I think. I'm not so worried about needing to replace the foresters right now. Just store 10 for the moment, and then at least we can have some some tools still left over. Okay. Now we have a child, let's replace that forester, and everyone can get on with things. So yeah, even without needing to buy the extra food there, we're still just about managing to stockpile some food. And now everybody's dying of old age, which is a pain. And it would be ideal if someone was actually going to put some logs into the storage, because we kind of need those right now. And don't just cut it down and leave the logs there. The purpose was to actually bring the logs back. Another trader, please. Oh, let's actually stop the blacksmith from working for a bit. And we'll try and stock up on logs that we can actually turn into firewood. And also remember that bridges still need builders. Oh, of course, that's why we have no logs, because all of them have gone into the bridge. Yeah, so the plan with this bridge was basically just to let the foresters have access to some fully grown trees to help kickstart the whole process. Which appears to have worked. It might actually also give one of these hunters... Yeah, so this hunter can now also sneak over and have a bit better access to the herds. I mean, it's low-ish. There's just people stockpiling food in production facilities again. The reserve of tools is definitely low. Let's actually get a blacksmith working again. Okay, I was expecting no more children on account of too many people already. But, okay. I mean, this is definitely a stockpile of food that we didn't have before. So, you know, it's not all bad. We are going to need some more iron, though. Oh, merchant. No, you only have ale. Go away. I promise, sometimes you do get merchants that have useful things. Anyway, we will put a market there eventually. I mean, the reserve of logs is kind of low, but like food, we're now in a position where we are actually developing a reserve of logs. Just about. I mean, look how much we struggled with this early on, and our food is now, even in winter, rising to over 1,000, which is... it's actually now more than we started with, finally. So, things are improving. Yeah, 118 is definitely more than 9. I think we can argue that this forester is now actually becoming more useful. Reserve of firewood is low. It's probably because we don't have any logs at the moment. Just a guess. So yeah, it's going to have a way to go to beat 130, but it's got a strong start. And we've also now got some time to actually build up a reserve of firewood again. So, you know, things are improving, slowly but surely. So much food. So we have a few children. So I don't think it's unreasonable to start looking at expanding some of our facilities a little bit. And we can start looking at, you know, like getting a mine and a quarry and such in the relatively near future as a way of securing the rest of our resource flow. I was wondering what all that movement was then, and it turned out to just be people, which is not as interesting as I'd hoped, honestly. Oops. Accidental right click. Did we not make a freshly adulted adult the woodcutter just now? Okay, something weird happened there then. Let's actually go turn the blacksmith into a woodcutter. The woodcutter is a more important job. No, I do not want to buy logs. Oh, you're going the sneaky way. Apparently that counts as water, not land. The reserve of logs being low is much less of an issue than anything else, honestly. It's actually probably worth leaving those two as labourers for a moment. Start trying to actually collect some more stones, some more iron. Boring but useful things. Oh wow, we actually did beat the previous 130. Okay, we've got plenty of food, we've got plenty of firewood. We at least get to survive winter. Which is a good place to be. I'm definitely not complaining about that. Random piles of stone bricks around the place. No new merchants yet. Let's have a look. So I had a feeling that the frequency of merchants was related to how well staffed the trading post is. So we've still got 4 more children to grow up as well. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So actually, I think we're now in a position where we can be fully staffed again. It's just nobody feel like coming over here to build this. Or are we all just too busy harvesting resources first? Because that's fine too, actually. Either way, that goes from 200 to 0 immediately. And it can't decide if it's on 125 or 0. Somebody got very confused about how much firewood they had. More traders, please. Woodcutters dying of old age. But at least if you've got spare labourers, there's an automatic sort of replacement thing. What? This is people needing more housing now? Ugh. Should actually think about putting the market in place, even if we're not going to build it yet. Oh, they've at least cleared the fishing dock now. That's a good start. Aha. Okay. So let's max this out as best we can. Okay. We have some corn seeds. This is a very good thing. So, everybody become farmers. Farming is where it's at. Yeah, the aging mechanic gets really annoying in this after a while. It becomes very hard for your population to grow when your birth rate and death rate are about the same. Oh wow, we haven't had that message in a while. On the other hand, part of this is the fact that we've repurposed a lot of people to work on corn rather than regular gathering. So what we should find is that it will be low for a little while, and then when this gets harvested, we'll suddenly get a lot of food. We started a bit late, so we didn't get a full yield this year, which is a shame, but in general, this should help. This is definitely increasing our buffer of food. Yeah, it's still trying to grow on its own. So we still need some more stone for the marketplace. But yeah, you can see why I've been so eager to get farming started here. Because that one harvest is going to be enough to see us through winter fairly easily. And then with, you know, assorted fishing, hunting, gathering, it will at least maintain our food stocks over time, and then next autumn when everything harvests again, we suddenly get this huge influx of food. In fact, eventually we can get to the point where we can start storing food in the trading post and actually using it as barter for other things. Did not realise we'd run out of tools again. Oh, it's early spring. We've already got people out planting the cornfield. The sudden jump up to 18%. So in last year, it even only hit sort of 50% yield, and we got the boost we did that we're still enjoying the results of now. So this year, starting at the beginning of spring rather than late spring, yeah, we're 30% higher or so already, so this is going to be impactful, I think is an appropriate term. I might actually not even need this fishing hut anymore. Aha, interesting. So... It's difficult to find a place that's big enough for a pasture. That'll do. It takes a lot of logs to build, but it's another thing that's going to be useful to us for the sake of making food. Because in fact, we're going to be getting to a point soon where we can actually probably think about tearing down some of these things like gatherers' huts that we had early on to keep the food supplies going, and rely more on the farming and the sheep herding. Okay, the tool limit is only 50. It's not quite as bad as I thought. Oh, harvest time apparently. Oh no! Crops are dying because they didn't get harvested fast enough. How awkward. It's all the more reason to get these set up soon, then we can increase the efficiency of this field. Which is, you know, going to be a main producer for us. Oh, I've also just realised the reason the traders are diverting is because we built this bridge and they can't go through it. Oops. Yeah, we need to produce more wood, guys. At the risk of sounding like I'm making a bad pun, chop chop. A whole bunch more people dying of old age. I'm actually going to take all the gatherers out for a bit and get some of this building work finished off. Not sure what else the builders are working on. And short on stone again. And iron as well, in all honesty. It's almost like I knew it was about to tell me that. So we've only got 2,000 food left. I don't know how we're going to cope. No more children. That's going to be problematic, potentially. Yeah, okay, so we actually managed to grow this fast enough this time that all the crops were ready before autumn. Why on earth are you all not going to this storage barn that's right next to you? Oh. Nothing interesting. No, we actually do want hunters, because hunters produce leather. But okay, so hopefully 2 sheep is enough sheep to breed. Okay. We do definitely need some more wood, though. Wood is definitely becoming a problem. Needs to be making some firewood before everyone freezes to death. Although we might have just about survived, now it's spring again. But we could still do with making some firewood, please. Oh, here we go. That was interesting. We just lost like 2,000 food. But we do at least have firewood production going again. We've got some wood being produced. We're going to want to refill... Oh, okay. It automatically balances between them. Why is that not 5,000 anymore? I must have accidentally clicked a button earlier. Oh, the reserve of food is low because there's more houses now. How do we suddenly have no food in storage? That's, a sudden degeneration. Oh well. At least we're storing some amount of food again. And nobody is obviously freezing to death or anything. Hmm. Okay. So I think the food issue was just as we got the new houses, everyone's stocking up again, and it wiped out the stores. Hooray! We have a baby sheep. Which I guess would technically be a lamb. It's even look like a small sheep there. Adorable. The reserve of food is only, like, low-ish. Yeah, unfortunately we didn't have enough leather in to be able to afford 2 cows. If we can get a couple of cows, we can then get rid of all the hunters, because we'll start producing leather as well, I think. But one thing at a time, one thing at a time. Yeah, okay, we do kind of need a woodcutter again. Just to make sure no one freezes to death. There's some suspicious gaps in this field. Let's just stick everybody back into regular food production again to try and get our reserves back up. Because otherwise this is looking problematic. We haven't had anyone die of starvation in a while. Should have probably transferred people over to gathering sooner. Oh. The problem there is that we have no iron. There's no iron there. There's some iron. Also, once we actually fill this up and our 25 sheep start producing bonus sheep, that's going to generate even more food. So, you know, as long as we actually do keep a positive balance of food, we should be okay. And yeah, the reserve of food definitely going low again. Could do with somebody actually harvesting some of that iron, really. But such is life. So we managed to buy in some iron. We should actually be able to then use that to start replacing some tools. Which will in turn speed up everything else, so... So now if we take the traders away, and we have a blacksmith, and extra forester. And see if we can start actually filling out our supply of logs again. The supply of tools is low, but we're actually now replacing some of the broken tools that are around. Yeah, so our population has actually shrunk slightly. Okay. We seem to have managed to rebalance things, and we're going in the right direction again. The reserve of food is low. It's down to only 400 again. Okay, so I was wrong earlier. It's when it drops below 500 it tells you it's low. Of course the reserve of tools is low. We still haven't replaced all of the tools. We're working on it though. Yeah, still only got 4 sheep. So there's a bunch of logs here that no one's picking up. Okay, everyone has tools again. Production should be back up to full speed. Yep, last season was not a good season, although some of that is we're now split across 2 different things. Okay, let's max out both of the foresters. And see if that's going to generate enough wood that we can actually keep the production going. What's the most useful thing for you to be? Probably a vendor. Premonition. I think we can afford to ditch the gatherers for the time being. So yeah, we're on a decent corn harvest again this year as well, which is going to help. And everybody's dying of old age again. Come on, we need at least one more child. Do you have anything interesting? Not that we can afford. I mean, yeah, no, not quite with the extra leather either. Ah, we have more baby sheeps. Yeah, and our entire food supply has managed to be wiped out again. Despite the fact it was at, you know, like 1900 just a moment ago. The farmers are more important. Except maybe in winter when nothing works anyway. We are at least almost making some progress again. Does just take a while to actually properly get up to full production. But once they do, they are most definitely worth it. So I think the real problem we have with this one is sheep don't produce food so much. At least not until the pasture is full and then you slaughter the extras. They do produce wool, so we will be able to make some wool coats. In fact, we'll be able to make warm coats. Let's do that, just because having clothes is probably going to make people happy. Okay, and it looks like that last big drop in food was just people stocking up for winter. Which is always good when that's all it is. We do need to make sure farmers are going to start work again, though. Let's work the hunting angle. Yeah, this isn't going to be a great yield for corn this year, but... Wow! Did I... Oh. That's because I emptied out the wrong... For a moment, I thought that suddenly all the herdsmen had died. Actually, maybe this corn yield's not going to be as bad as I was expecting. If it gets up to about 50% by early summer, yeah, okay. So it's not going to be ideal, but it could be a lot worse. The timing of that was awkward. But this is the problem now. If everyone dies of old age and no one's around to actually produce anything anymore. Are we going to hit max yield? Yep. Got there. And now if we can actually harvest it fast enough, things should be good. We'll also actually be able to start getting a reliable amount of iron soon as well, which is going to help this tools situation quite a bit. Right. So hopefully we can now start actually getting some iron. Which we can also use to build this quarry, which will let us get a reliable supply of stone. The general plan here is that you'll actually produce iron at some point. Ah, there we go. Yeah, okay. We'll get everything else working again first, and then what we can probably start doing is actually selling worn coats. Yeah, okay. The warm coats have a lot of value. So in general, people are actually happy again now, which is good. Happy people also work better. And now all we need is for all 10 of these children to immediately grow up. Would be ideal. One, 6, 2, 6, 7. There's a 9. Minor for the moment. Just because we are at a point where it's relatively important that we start getting more iron. And our sheep pasture is still slowly filling up. Let's assign some of these back to be gatherers again, just to try and keep things going. Because we do definitely need iron to be produced so that we can actually make tools. Is there anything else around that we can use as like a quick way to get some iron? That's all already all tagged and just nobody's doing anything with it. Hey, the perfect size for a town hall, almost. Yeah, so I guess they're probably going to end up trying to fill up the quarry before we actually start getting any real tools. So, let's just have a quick nose around. That's already tagged and no one is doing anything with it. So food may be low for right now, but we are in a position where we're going to be filling that right back up again. And keeping everyone healthy and happy, so, you know, don't panic. Late spring and we're only up to a 23-24% yield so far. Yeah, even with the jump, that's not really enough. See, it's meaningful the amount of impact that no tools can have on production. So we've still got 6 more children at least, for the time being. I guess if you're not going to be making tools anyway, let's just overload the mine as best we can and see if we can actually make some headway on it. Oh, well, I guess we still actually hit top yield then on the cornfield, which was better than I was expecting. Everybody's panicking about the food reserves. Which is good. If they panic that much, it at least means we're doing a reasonable job of keeping the food reserves relatively high. Anything interesting? Yes, actually. Oh no, wait. Because what we actually need to buy is iron, not wheat or eggs. Curses. 10 sheeps. Okay, we're actually cracking along through this one now. So hopefully this should actually fill up soonish. And then we can just put all of the iron into making tools. And eventually we'll get a second mine to produce coal and upgrade all of the tools, but one thing at a time. If I only ever did one thing at a time, that would probably be okay. Yeah, so the sheep pasture is filling up faster as we get more sheep, which is what you would expect. Okay, so we should at least be able to keep the food up more reliably again now. And we're mining. Yeah, so this is now up to 22 of 40. So many sheeps. Look at all the sheeps. Will you look at that? Welcome to Late Night Pun Stream. Yeah, get on the iron. And now everyone's decided it's spring and they're hungry. The occasional sudden jump in yield of the fields. Yeah, okay, this is probably not the greatest, but it should be okay. Now only needs 13 more iron to finish off resources for the quarry. And yeah, we are going to need to rebalance some people to work as foresters again shortly, I think. Okay, that only now requires 7. Hold the hunter! That's a slightly weird thing to say. $36. 7. I've never seen somebody who died during childbirth before. At least not that I can recall. I'm in the game. I am aware it happens, and it's a tragedy when it does. I was just not necessarily aware that this game actually went to that level of detail. So this suggests somebody's on their way over with some iron for the building. Okay. Right. Everybody back in there. And also get a blacksmith working again. Since the forester has died of old age, okay, we are now starting to get really close on sheep as well. We're up to 17 of 25. Oh, wow, late spring and we're still only down on like 11-12% yield. What on earth are the farmers doing? Okay. At least we seem to go in the right direction for tools now. The number of people who need fresh tools is going down. Reserve of logs is going up, which means that our foresters are actually working. Yeah, we're not getting a good yield off this cornfield this year. Again, this hopefully starts being fixed a little bit once the tools issue is resolved. tools issue is at least still going the right way. From the 26 or 28 or whatever it was, it's down to 21. What's a reasonable thing for you to work on? Probably mining, actually. Just increase the rate of iron production for the blacksmith. Got some more broken tools, which we can just fix by getting more iron. I'm not surprised the reserve of tools is low. Everyone's broken all of their tools. At least for the moment, the most critical people have got their tools fixed. So the blacksmith, the woodcutter. Ooh, 22 sheep. We are eventually going to need to replace the hunters, though. No, stop being hungry. Died of old age, replaced died of starvation, and then 4 children get born. Okay. I mean, there is food. So you really shouldn't be dying of starvation. I have a lot of children right now. Okay. So now the pasture should produce the bonus food by killing off any excess sheep. Farmer has died. Replace the farmer. Replace the farmer. That's fine. Let's actually take out the foresters because we've got plenty of spare logs at the moment. I mean, if you lot would actually get on with doing your jobs, you might not die of starvation quite so easily. Pile everybody back into doing food production. Actually, we've still got 6 iron. Maybe take one of these as a blacksmith again. Right. Now you don't get to tell me the reserve of food is low anymore. Can at least work on trying to get some more tools again. Okay, the blacksmith has stocked up on iron at least, so that's something. Right, while we've actually got some food, I'm going to pile everyone back into getting more iron for the blacksmith. So back down so that there's now only 10 people who need tools. Okay, now there's even more people who need tools again, but and one of them is the blacksmith, which really doesn't help. Are at least making some amount of progress in stockpiling iron. It does not look like 4 people working on that field. And we also need to make sure that we prepare for winter. So, yeah, gatherer. I actually get at least one vendor back again as well, just to help actually get things distributed in a sort of sensible way. Actually making progress. There's only 4 people who need tools. And we got 2 more people dying of old age. And one of those was the woodcutter, who's actually fairly important. The reserve firewood's not that low. We're getting up to the point now as well where we've got half the population is children. It's already like 1/3 of the population is children. Ideally like 10, 15, 26. Why is it always the farmers? Farmers seem to have like 0 life expectancy in this game. Get a tailor back. And yeah, we're starting to run out of logs, so let's actually work on refilling the foresters. early spring frost. It just sort of suddenly happens out of nowhere. Okay, we're actually okay on tools for a moment. Let's try and fix everything else again. Although once again, this is not going to be a great farm yield this year. But yeah, okay, we're actually stocking up on stuff again, so things don't look dreadful right now. I don't really care about steel tools. I'm actually going to turn you into a builder first, just for the sake of getting that last building done. And then probably back into a blacksmith, but... well, we're getting there. 89 of 100. Blacksmith. We've got a couple of 8-year-old children. Blacksmith become a miner for a moment. It's always interesting in this game trying to actually, like, balance out all of the different things you need people to be. apparently the tailor doesn't have access to any leather or enough wool. Which is interesting. Because it exists. So I'm thinking we should probably be getting some more labourers soon. There we go. So this should at least mean that we can actually get some work on having enough food to feed everybody, and also producing enough tools for everyone to work, and having enough firewood that everyone can keep warm. I mean, really, you should upgrade all of these to stone houses, because that reduces the need for firewood. But at the moment, we don't have the resources to spend on it. So it can stay as it is. Okay. We are actually in a reasonable position with this cornfield this year again as well. So we're definitely improving. I think we can afford for you to be a miner. And yes, the reserve of tools is low, but that should improve as we actually get all of our production facilities actually up and running again. Because we are certainly going to need to build more houses at some point. We just need to make sure we're in a strong position in terms of food production first. We do at least seem to be able to produce tools faster than our people can break them, so that's something. There's nothing worth buying from that trader anyway. Yeah, the big issue we have at the moment is just trying to get the tools situation back under control. But as we feed more people into the mines, that's a problem that should more or less take care of itself. Inasmuch as we'll start producing iron fast enough that the blacksmith can just keep churning out tools, and everything will be okay. Assuming, of course, the blacksmith updates their own tools. I don't know who our blacksmith even is. Arrowly. At some point we'll also look at building a school and educating all of our workers, but... yeah, let's actually go with a gatherer for the moment. We seem to at least be producing iron fast enough to keep the blacksmith in work. The blacksmith should really work on replacing their own tools, though. Some strange flickering symbols. As it works out, it can balance 3 people between 3 buildings. The farmers all appear to have given up. Server tools is low, but not 0. And definitely going in the right direction. Anyway. What I will do for now is save this. We've been going for a little while longer than normal tonight. So, I will say thank you for joining me, and I will see you again tomorrow.